to Bank Breakers. Now, as you already know, it's Wednesday, which means this is our NFL commentary show, a show where I pepper in a little bit of humor on the NFL week that was. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bill, why are you wearing a black tie with a dark brown shirt? Because it's fall, my man. I had to put the fall colors on. The dark browns, the burnt reds, the navy blues. I mean, read a fashion magazine while you're at it. I'm trying to sprinkle in with the tides here. But enough of this wasting time. Let's hop right into it. We always start with a fan favorite. Quick notes. Yahoo and the NFL announced on Monday that Sunday's exclusive live stream game featuring the Bills and the Jaguars attracted a huge NFL audience. 33.6 million views. The largest internet stream video since the 2006 Republican debate, who's nailin' Palin? The 34-31 Jacksonville Jaguar victory over the Buffalo Bills handed E.J. Manuel his second loss of the season, while simultaneously making him the only quarterback in NFL history to lose 3 NFL starts in 3 different countries. Meaning no matter the language you speak, every Buffalo Bills fan wants to sing.
Fuck you. Oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
In the spirit of this upcoming weekend, Cleveland Browns fans Tony and Jill Timoteo decided to create the perfect Halloween decoration, a Browns quarterback graveyard.
We didn't even know how we would make the headstones, and we're like, I just go, if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it right.
The Timoteos have constructed 22 headstones, each one representing a Browns quarterback who has played at least one game for the franchise. In other words, Cleveland is where quarterbacks go to die, or overpaid NBA superstars go to lose championships. In other quarterback news, Kirk Cousins led the Washington Redskins to their largest comeback in franchise history with a 31-30 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After being named this week's NFC Offensive Player of the Week, it's safe to say that Robert Griffin III will never play another game in Washington again.
You like that? You like that?
Yes, Kirk. We do like that. Having no real way to transition into this next segment, I'm just going to dive into it. Former NFL star and Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George is set to make his Broadway debut this coming January in the musical Chicago, a 1920s satire of how show business and the media make celebrities out of criminals. Now, does that sound like anything else we know of? George is set to tackle the role of fast-talking lawyer Billy Flynn, so expect to see a lot of musical numbers like this.
Razzle dazzle them, and they'll beg you for more.
In closing, the New England Patriots this past Sunday squared off against the New York Jets, and despite Brandon LaFell's 33 drops, Tom Brady was once again able to put the team on his back and continue his eat shit Roger Goodell tour of 2015. This week, we'd like to focus on the 5 remaining undefeated teams left this season. For the first time in NFL history, there are 5 teams sitting at 6-0. The New England Patriots, the Denver Broncos, the Green Bay Packers, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Carolina Panthers. Of course, all of these teams are great teams. They're undefeated, but there are completely irrelevant questions that must be asked about each of these undefeated teams. Questions that have no bearing on how these teams will fare at the end of the year, but must be asked by us sports anchors and us sports networks in order to obtain content that's completely debatable. To ask questions that have no right answer, no yes or no answer, but are completely based on personal opinion, so that we can drive viewership. So, instead of sitting here and debating with you and the other employees that work here at Bank Breakers, we've decided to conduct a little study of our own. We've decided to reach out to a myriad of focus groups scattered throughout the country in order to obtain unbiased responses to our completely irrelevant questions. The first irrelevant question we'd like to pose is to the Denver Broncos, and more specifically, Peyton Manning. Is Peyton Manning still an elite quarterback? Now, I understand Peyton Manning has struggled this season, throwing just 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. But don't forget, just 2 years ago, he threw 55 touchdowns and almost 5,500 yards. But we aren't asking me. We're asking the polls. So what did they say? Is Peyton Manning still an elite quarterback? Organized sports are so fascist. It makes me sick. Okay, I don't see how that answers the question. Let's just move forward. The next undefeated team we'd like to pose an irrelevant question to is the Green Bay Packers, and specifically Eddie Lacy. Will Eddie Lacy bounce back the second half of this season? Yes, Eddie Lacy has struggled, scoring just one rushing touchdown this year. But in his first 2 seasons in the league, he scored 11 touchdowns and 13 touchdowns. You have to think he's going to bounce back. Again, I'm not the one you're asking. You're asking the polls. So what did they say? Will Eddie Lacy bounce back in the second half of the season? I fucking hope not. I just traded for James Starks. Fuck me. I guess that's a no. So let's take it as a no. Let's move on to our third relevant question. The third relevant question we like to pose is to the Carolina Panthers and their quarterback, Cam Newton. Is Cam Newton a legitimate MVP candidate? Cam Newton isn't having his best season of the year, with a quarterback rating of 78.4 and throwing 9 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. But he has picked his team up by the bootstraps and led them to a 6-0 championship. But I know we're not asking for what I think, we're asking for what the public thinks. So what did they say? No, I had no idea Panthers were that fast. So, yeah, learn something new every day. Let's move forward to the fourth irrelevant question. For our fourth irrelevant question, we'd like to pose it to the Cincinnati Bengals and the entire team. Are the Cincinnati Bengals legitimate title contenders this year? Now, if you look at that roster, they could be considered the most talented team in the NFL, with a very stout defense, while also having A.J. Green on offense, Tyler Eifert, Gio Bernard, Jeremy Hill, led by Andy Dalton, having a career year this year with a rating of 116.1 and throwing 14 touchdowns. But again, it's not me we're asking. It's the public. So what did the polls say? I'm not much of a football enthusiast, but the Bengals have a 97.2% chance of making the playoffs and a 0% chance of winning the Super Bowl with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. I guess that means no. No. Anyway, let's move forward to the fifth and final irrelevant question, to the fifth and final undefeated team, the New England Patriots. Will the New England Patriots make the Super Bowl again this year? Tom Brady is on an absolute tear this year, throwing over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns to just 1 interception. Bill Belichick is sticking it to every opponent he sees, and the Patriots look like the sure favorite to make the Super Bowl. But again, I'm not the guy everybody's asking. We asked the public in the polls. So what did they say? They said yes. Now, having finished the main story, it's time for the rant of the week.
But they are who we thought they were.
Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
This week's rant of the week is centered around Greg Hardy.
What if I told you that Greg Hardy was actually just an asshole?
No comment. Any other questions?
That even ex-NFL players would make fun of him for being such a prick.
Next question.
What if I told you that even after a year-long suspension for assault and battery, he still didn't understand his wrongdoing?
I hope I come out guns blazing. He was just laughing out loud.
This is the kind of disrespect, and it is so disrespectful what he did that I'm sorry it mandates a public apology.
Greg Hardy had to pretend to respect women for 12 minutes, and he couldn't even do that.
What if I told you an owner so desperate to return to the glory days would sign a convicted felon to lead him there?
Convicted at one point of something heinous.
That what some call an act of passion.
Has got a great passion for the game.
Everyone else just considers being a huge asshole.
A bum. That's what he is. A bum.
Embarrassed, ashamed, torn from the bottom of my soul.
What if I told you that even though the NFL said no more,
he just has a temper.
At best, the NFL sets an example that makes a positive difference.
they still allowed this piece of shit to continue playing?
Here comes Hardy on get this feeling that he does not have the kind of self-control that you would wish someone in that position of that strength had to be.
Would you believe me? ESPN's critically acclaimed 30 for 30, presented by Levi's, Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Show me the money.
Okay, people, now it's time for the part of the show that attracts all you big gamblers. It's time for the earnings report. As you can see, with quarterbacks, we hit on 75% of the players we suggested to you. With running backs, we hit on 66%. On wide receivers, we hit on 50%, and on tight ends, we hit on 66%. But defenses and kickers are just as important as the other 7 positions, so let me show you those. Kickers, we hit on 66%, and on defenses, we hit on 50%. For all you avid fans out there, you might have noticed that on the running back earnings report, you saw the names of Lamar Miller and Danny Woodhead. You might have thought to yourself, Bill, those two weren't on your original suggestion sheet on Friday. You had Dion Lewis. Where was he? That's why you have to follow us on Twitter. If you followed us on Twitter, you would have seen that on early Sunday morning, we tweeted this. Dion Lewis is not expected to play. We like Lamar Miller, Woodhead in his place. Gates is less than 50-50 to play. Big boost for our dart throw, Ladarius Green. Again, I'll reiterate, for last-minute alerts such as that, you have to follow us on Twitter, and we will tweet throughout the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. The lights are on in the office because we're still working, so follow us on Twitter. Bank_breakers. Now let's see how much money we made this past weekend. Originally we invested $33. Of the $33 we invested, we made $55. Now, we weren't the only bank breaker to win money this weekend. As always, it's time for the award ceremony. And this week's bank breaker of the week is Dougie X45. Dougie X45 submitted this lineup: Phillip Rivers, Todd Gurley, Latavius Murray, Odell Beckham, Josh Brown, Martavis Bryant, Antonio Gates, and the Rams defense. Says he had it twice in a quintuple for $50. Hey Dougie, you know what that means. You're the bank breaker of the week. You know what? You win a prize. What prize might that be? Well, guess what? You win a brand new Rolex. Gold Rolex with a black ivory face. How can I get you this? Well, I got a guy named Paulie, right? Paulie's got a couple guys over the pond. They're down in Italy. They know a couple guys. I don't ask many questions, but they have all the answers. You know what I'm trying to say? They'll get you a brand new Rolex. You just got to give them your address, your social, your phone number, your wife, your kids, all the other stuff. They want names, they want addresses, schools. I don't know. It's all miscellaneous info. If you don't want to go down that route, if you want to take the road less traveled, we'll send you a t-shirt, a Bank Breakers original t-shirt. So you tell us, you tweet us what specifically you want. You send us the address and we'll send it right to you, my man. Congrats, Dougie. I'm happy that you won some money. I'm happy I was able to help. But people, you gotta tweet us. If you won more than $50 and you're sitting there like, why am I not getting a t-shirt? Why am I not getting a Rolex from Paulie? It's because you aren't tweeting us. So again, I reiterate, tweet at us, bank_breakers. Tweeted us your lineup, tweeted us the money you've won, and you might be the bank breaker of the week. But guys, that's it. Finito, as my buddy Paulie from the shore would say, right? We're finished. We're done. I'm done.